I'll do it after the set.
Here we go again. New season. Same cop out.
Here we go. Hey guys, welcome back. Barbershop
2018.
What's up, everybody?
We got a little new look. Same physique over here to my immediate right.
Yeah, that's a lot of hate, man.
Pretty disappointing.
We gotta leave the hate in 2017.
We're just coming off the winter, so he's got to thaw out.
We gotta leave it. We gotta leave it behind.
It's came out of hibernation. So what's up? What you guys been up to?
Man, when is the last time? What was it? October? November?
I don't know.
Well, let's do an official ring in. Let's
All right.
do an official greeting, and then let's go into our show.
Excellent.
All right. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Barbershop BA. We
back.
are back, baby. We are back.
Welcome back.
As you can see, we are fully equipped now. Not that we weren't fully equipped before. Just want to mention that, throw that out there. But if you look at our station, we're looking pretty good right now.
Legit.
Let's just start from the end. Let's get some introductions going.
B. Murph.
What's up, guys? Barbershop BA, Phil Morgan in the house.
What's up, everybody? It's Larry Ewings, a.k.a. Jupiter 7. And so we are here, man. So what are we talking about today, guys?
Hey, let's just recap. It's been a while since we've hung out, actually.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
The color of the room has changed significantly.
Yeah.
I guess the grass is greener on the other side.
You've been working on that all week. That was the big,
Something,
that was the big on ramp.
warming back into the humor.
For those of you guys who've been watching us before, we were actually in Brian's man cave. That's where we were actually doing all the filming.
Right.
And now we are in the second
studio.
story of some studio
In the studio.
The new studio.
Yeah, and so that's why you see the green screen behind us, and we're gonna get creative with this background pretty soon. But yeah, man, it's exciting to be back. I think that little layover when we weren't kicking it, man, just I think fed the fire.
Hiatus.
Fed the fire. You know what I'm saying? I think we got a lot to talk about. A lot has been happening in this world since we took a break, and I guess that's not really a good thing, but it gives us definitely a lot of things to talk about.
For sure.
And so yeah.
Yeah, man. So what are we about again, right? Real talk, real issues.
That's right.
Real brothers just
Real
trying
brothers.
to
Kicking it, talking about
kicking it. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And we want to remind you guys, look, this is more than just a guy talking about just random topics. You know, there's things that we plan out each month that we want to bring to you guys, but we also want to throw a bit of a faith perspective on that too, because for us, we're all believers here, and not only that, but we want to contribute to this world, not only in our actions but in our talk. So, and we want to hear what you guys have to say. We're gonna have some great guests on our show coming up, and we got a lot of great topics that we're gonna tackle and wrestle with, and so we hope more than just. We want everybody to tune in, man. We want this to be a universal show, and so send us some ideas, send us some topics you want us to talk about. We want to be able to handle those things. So yeah,
definitely want to see what's out there that people are talking about, what the buzz is, something that you and the fellas might be talking about, or you and the ladies might be talking about that you might want to hear our perspective on. It might not count for much, but it counts for something.
Yeah, man. I've been watching. It's interesting. We want to give people a chance, a space, just to kind of, bounce some stuff off the wall. Where do you get a chance to just kind of say, you know what, here's what's going on, here's what I think about it, and get some perspective that might be bigger than what you get on the news or just random Facebook posts. And yeah, we want to be a dialogue, right? So keep us with your thoughts, keep us with your opinions, and we're definitely feedback. Website, Facebook Live, YouTube channel. We got a lot of ways we want to hear from you.
Definitely. I'm interested to know what's all this stuff in the front of your side. What's your nameplate even say?
Big Larry hooked me up. I believe that says head honcho.
Head honcho right there,
Head
man.
honcho.
That's the head honcho, guys.
That's the head honcho, right?
Yeah.
Right,
I guess we go in age order here.
Yeah. What's yours say? Fat burger?
I don't know what mine does say. Let me see. Oh, every day I'm hustling.
Every day I'm hustling. Nice.
We only tell the truth here.
Nice.
We only tell the truth here.
Hustling. That's what.
And of course, mine says the man, the myth, the legend.
Exactly.
This guy right
Hey man,
here.
we got to talk about your last poster, man.
Okay.
Did you?
Okay.
What was that you put on your sexy soldier or something?
Hella
like
sexy
that?
something.
Yeah, man.
Sexy soldier.
And
what?
I get Gramps. I get Gramps and the old guy.
The preacher.
And you get hella sexy soldier. And did you see my comment on that?
I did
Yeah,
see
man.
that.
That was some straight presidential.
Well, when you know how to
fake
do
news, man.
social media stuff,
You're right.
You'll have a chance
You're
to
right. You're right.
put your little 2 cents
Hours
in
in the
there.
pen or the
That's
post.
right.
So I'll get mine going. Don't worry about it.
Hey, but let's
Hold on. Your Gramps?
That's what he called me, man.
AKA Gramps.
It was pretty disrespectful, actually. You know,
Gramps. Okay.
Look, let's shed some light on. Brian is full of wisdom. That's why we
Yeah.
always tease him. He's a pastor of a church, so that's why we give him that honor. We give him that.
that's what honor. They call it honor now.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
we call
nice.
it honor. So
That's nice.
yeah, man. I think I probably have more gray hairs than you.
You
so
do.
that's not
You
even a
do.
good thing.
That's a fact.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah.
It's factual.
Yeah.
So we got the pastor. Larry, give him a little bit background on yourself, man.
So for me, I am a youth worker, leadership development guy. Started off in the hip hop culture, doing rap music, touring and stuff like that. So that's why I go by the name of Jupiter 7.
Hey man, you've never freestyled on the show.
No,
man. Can we get a little freestyle? Can we get a couple lyrics?
Yeah, wow.
I mean,
of
new
course,
season,
of
new
course.
year. I mean, come on,
Yo,
man.
you know what? We'll make that a part of the show. Oh, you want to do it right now?
I'm
You want me
just
to drop a
saying. Can I get a
beat?
couple? Can I get a couple bars?
Oh, sure. You know what? Let me just. Can I spit from
Yeah.
something?
Spit it,
Oh,
spit
my-
it.
Hold on.
Spit it.
Oh, you're gonna give me a beat.
Oh God, what are you
Oh,
doing?
well, it doesn't matter because we're not gonna be able to hear it.
Yeah, that's.
We're not plugged in that way yet.
Yeah.
No, but it'll pick up on this.
No, you
No,
just-
no, I won't.
oh,
No, I
don't
won't.
do that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, let me,
Off the top.
this is actually really good.
Off the top.
Off the top of a song I knew a long time ago. Okay.
Let's see.
Because once we get the beat going on another one, I'll freestyle it off the.
Okay,
Is that
okay,
cool?
so
All
you're
right.
not-
I'll take that.
All right, but this is a good time to put a shout out there, man. May 11th, I'll be at Small Town Society at Castro Valley,
Okay.
doing my first show in a long time within the last couple of years.
Put it on the calendar.
Yeah, put it on the calendar. Show up, show out. It's gonna be a real hip hop show. But let's just bring it down something like this. It's like. Once again, it's the unsung hero. Out to catch wreck, not out to get the Nero. Hip hop's alive and I can feel it in the vibe. If you want this medicine, check what I prescribe. I'm on the search for some beats to rock, cause there ain't no telling when this life gon' stop, and that's real. I used to play the game that's deadly, until I broke down and got sick in my belly. Moved to a place where I had to live, to the streets of East Oakland to work with kids. 105th Avenue, Weather Block, move swift. Diamonds in the rough, but they ain't knowing it. So I chose to grab the mic to spit what I was writing. The ballad of my heart that shines like track lighting. Music for the people so that you don't. Anyways, how about that? How about
Hey,
that?
we'll
7?
take that Jupiter
Okay.
7.
All right.
All right.
I saw you about to beatbox, man.
Oh,
and
man.
Oh, no, I wasn't gonna be. I was gonna
It
say.
looked like you was moving in.
I was gonna hype man it. I was
Yeah,
gonna
man.
hype.
Yeah, I can't do the whole thing. I can't
trying to
do
be
the
the
whole
hype man.
thing. You guys gonna come out
May what?
May 11th.
May
be tight.
11th. Where's that
it'll
at?
be tight.
Friday, Small Town Society, Castro Valley, right next to the Trader Joe's.
Okay.
Yes,
Trader Joe's
it's gonna be
CV.
cool. Yep.
That's tight, man.
Yeah, and if you guys want to listen to more, jupiter7.bandcamp.com.
I see that on there.
Yes, sir. But let's get into what we're talking about, man. This ain't about me. All right. Let's get into what we were talking about today, man. Come on. Man.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
But let's. So I think originally when we talked about what can we come back in and talk about as a group,
Yeah.
and I think something that's prolific right now, I think in social media or just in the headlines would be the METOO movement.
Right.
And so we want to kind of like talk about that today and how's that, I guess, maybe potentially affecting the lives of many men and women.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
this is so let's just go around and get some thoughts on that. B, we'll start with you, man.
Yeah, well, I want to ask a question. I want to ask you guys, because I think a lot of the guys, we hear about it, we see the little news clips. I'm not even sure most guys really know what the whole movement, and I'm not saying I'm the expert, but what do you think the movement is really about? What's it all about?
Well, if I was reading off of,
Right. I see. I see Cliff Notes over here. But that's all right.
Look.
he's like, well,
Look, I'm just using off the Google search, but I'm just saying. For me, I'm not even reading this. It's just, for me, it's equality, right? They want equality in the workplace, equality all around. Like they don't want to be treated differently just because of gender.
Right.
I think that for me, that's what it comes down to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say it has to do something with like sexual harassment, right? And not to be treated fairly, to be treated equally as men,
Yeah.
not to be kind of objectified or kind of yeah, just in that manner, whether it's sexual, whether it's men behaving badly, and treating them disrespectfully, and then getting away with it, right, and causing a lot of hurt and heartache to a lot of young ladies out there, young and old. So
cool. Let me ask one more question. And so, do you think this is over exaggerated? Do you think kind of everybody's women are super sensitive and now everything is Me Too, or do you think the movement is on point and it's a valid situation that deserves the attention it's getting?
Man,
let me put you right on the spot.
You are asking the real question.
I am.
I think that's that's the question right there. I think there's a lot of validity to this movement, and I think the reason why it came out because it exposed all of the things that were happening, not only in Hollywood, but what goes on behind the scenes that a lot of people are afraid to talk out, speak out against, and so there's definitely validity to that. There is people out there who, a lot of men that look at women, treat women badly, and I think that's we need to be held accountable for that as men. To live better lives than that and not to shame our women. And I think also with that movement comes, I think there's a lot of imposters that also come with that. I think it puts a lot of pressure on men. And maybe this is in a good way to make us really think about what we're saying, think about how we're acting, being very conscious about our surroundings and what we're doing, because something that we say can be taken very offensive to somebody else and actually be used against us. Right. And I think you're seeing a lot of that. There's a lot of those hardcore cases where I think it's blatant. Right. But then I think there's a lot of other cases where you're like, well, I'm not sure that's the one. You know what I mean? I think guys sometimes are being guys. I'm not saying that's right. But at the same time, it's not as severe as crossing over to the sexual acts, the blatant disrespect in front of everybody, right, or behind the scenes, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And so, that's kind of my take on that.
Yeah, I think that you're seeing so many things pop up because they don't. Not when I say that, I think people in general want things to go away. Like we've seen a lot of movements lately, just in general. Black Lives Matter, the Me Too. Even the youth, with school violence, we're seeing a lot of this stuff come up, and I think people are just fed up, right? And so I think even when, let's just say you have a pest problem in your house, you don't want it just to subside a little bit. You want to eradicate it, right? And I think that's the thing right now is people want to eradicate these behaviors. So I think as men in the workplace, it's eye opening because it makes us conscious of what's going on because these guys aren't getting a little slap on the wrist. I mean, it's big time. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think it helps us be more conscious of what's going on because so much attention has been brought to it. It is light in a very dark situation.
That's good. So again, I'm certainly no expert on Me Too and as a man, not even sure I should even have the voice to try to represent it. But when I look at it, when I've read some things and try to listen to the people that are talking about it, you hear the cases about sexual harassment, you hear the improper touching and the innuendos and all this other stuff, but I really think it's not primarily about sex. I think the movement is really about power. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why guys maybe are a little slow to get on board and really feel like this is valid because as men in this world, we have a bit of a privileged position in terms of gender power. And so when you deal with this issue, it's all the ways in which we are standing in privilege. And depending on where you're at, right, everybody can understand the places where they don't have power, right? So you got the whole Black Lives Matter. You're talking about racial stuff. You're talking about political stuff where you got the wealthy versus the poor. But this one is the same deal. And I think what women are saying is they are no longer willing to be second-class citizens. There's a power level that happens just because of the way the world has been run for years. And I think there's a power issue that they are now demanding that equality is really about equal voice. It's about equal accountability, and it's about them having the authority to say this is where the boundary is, not to be defined by a man who sets the boundary for them.
Right. Now, since this took place in Hollywood,
Right.
this is where all of this
What
came out.
started, yeah.
I'm thinking in that type of environment, power does play a role, right? Because if we're saying that in general, universal, for every role or for every part of the Me Too movement, right? Whether men have had this power role, is that true in the nonprofit world? Is that true in business world? I'm not sure because I've never come from a place where I'm better than that person, right? I'm not saying I'm the exception to the rule, right? Like I'm the best, but I don't know if I've ever looked at it at that angle, really, especially in my industry, doing youth work, right? Working with system-involved youth. It never was like, men are the most powerful, and so we need to be in charge, and we need to. That doesn't seem to be a reflection in that field, though I think it can be in there, depending on what agency that you're a part of, who is part of that leadership, and how that's being portrayed, right? I think it could be there, but I never really thought of that off the top, So even hearing about the topic, it brings that to mind for me. But I got a question though. Why do you think it took so long for it to get out? Like why all of a sudden now?
Yeah.
Right? Like if this was going on for so long, and we're talking about men and women did see these things happening. Everybody kept quiet. Now all of a sudden everybody wants to speak out about it. And it's a good thing that they did, but why so long? Why wait so long and leave all that carnage along the way, right? And now it's just everybody pointing fingers at each other and tearing everybody down. Where even the people who were raising their hands and saying this person did it. They knew it the whole time. And so what about them? What about the people who knew about it the whole time, never voiced it until now because somebody else had the courage to speak out?
It's maybe it's strength in numbers. You know what I mean? I think before when you came out and said something, and just imagine something horrifying happened to you, and you came out about it, and it wasn't the most popular thing. So people are like, oh, we don't want to deal with that. Let's go ahead and sweep that under the rug. I mean, that's you like. What I just came out and said something, but you guys don't agree, or it's too sensitive, or that person's in too much power, or they dictate too many things, so we don't want to speak out against them. I think that's tough, right? So when you have strength in numbers, I think it's easier. I think the pain is still the same, but when you have someone who's accepts it, you know what? Let's make a change about it. Let's make a movement out of it. You have a bigger following, and the right people get behind you. You have backing now. It's like anything else.
But this is not something that happened to one or two people. This happened to we're talking about thousands of people in this industry, even people who still have not spoken out about it because they don't want to put this out there, right? They don't want this. Not that they don't want to be associated with the movement, but the embarrassment, the hurt, the character, right? Like I said, there's so much carnage along the way. This is not something that was just an isolated incident. It was happening in the whole entire industry, and people saw it from men to women to, So I don't know. I'm putting it out there just because I think it's, this is a tough subject to talk about, and but at the same time, at what point are we held accountable for that?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably just, a million little mini steps that we couldn't see. I mean, I wonder if the timing of this is related to what happened with the whole Bill Cosby situation a year or two ago. I wonder if it's now related to the accusations or some of the things that came out about President Trump during the campaign. And at some point, all these little things finally get to the tipping point, right? And so I think it's a million little things that makes it look like it's all of a sudden, but I bet it's been building. I mean, look at civil rights movement. Why did it happen in the 60s?
Yeah.
Why not the 50s? Why not the 70s? It's just, I think, a convergence of a million little things that made the timing whatever it was.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole sore subject, but I think that the significance is just like, again, shining the light on something that's been dark for so many years, right? And so there it is. So how, it for me, makes me more conscious at work, for sure. You know what I mean? Like, because yeah, you're right, this Me Too movement is not just sexual harassment or power. It's just, you start thinking about every little thing. Well, what if I say something the wrong way? I don't want them to take it the wrong way. And not just women, but also men, just people in general. It makes you more conscious of what you're doing, because I think the workplace has been such a common place for so long. You're just like, oh, but I think you do have to draw that line, like, it's just, this is professional, I'm at work, and this is, home or, out with the friends on the weekend. It's you gotta draw the line. Yeah,
I really think the strength of the movement, it holds people accountable, especially leadership, especially the people in power. It forces them to be fair. Right. It forces them to, to really look within themselves and say, am I really doing the right thing right now? There's not really anywhere else you could hide anymore. From doing things. But I mean, yes, this stuff continues to happen on so many other levels than just Hollywood. You know what I mean? There's darkness happening right now. We're talking about, I mean, if we're talking about sexual crimes, we're talking about what about girls being trafficked? This very moment. That's right. You know what I mean? It's right out there in the open. People are seeing it, but they're not doing anything about it. And so, but also I think the strength of this movement also is gonna, hopefully it goes over to those type of items too, right? Because those are just as important. Right. Those are just as vital. Because we're talking about our young people who are trapped in slavery. That's right. And being used as objects and being used for pleasure. Yeah. As opposed to like that could be someone's mom. That's someone's sister. That's someone's daughter. Yeah. So I hope it grows more into a movement where it recognizes all kinds of other issues that are out there in the world.
And so let me throw this out there. I want to piggyback on that because let me make it personal for us, right? And man, Philip, you kind of hit on this a little bit, but what's the response men should be having? What's the response? And I'll even put it. What's the response men of faith should be having, right? Because it's not just about the famous Hollywood movie producer or director. It is me walking down the grocery store aisle, right? And the comment I think you said is that the guys will say, that's just locker room talk, or she was playing along with it, and so why is it a problem now? What's the accountability for men of faith in order to respond to what's now kind of out in the atmosphere? What's our boundaries? How do you know where the boundaries are?
I think communication is key. If we talk about it like this, just talking about it, get each other's opinion about it, because I think it's been so hush for so long that everyone's like, that covenant eye contact. We're just like, you know what I mean? Are you thinking the same thing I'm thinking? Well, I don't know. I think discussion is good, and I would encourage other men out there to have this conversation. You might think it's crazy or whatever, but if it's good, then you add a female's perspective, and then you start to feel maybe a sign of guilt because like, oh, I didn't know it made you feel that way. I think it's huge. I think communication is really key in this situation. So I think it's healthy if we go into a room and we're not looking to point fingers. We're not looking to blame, play the blame game or accuse. I think it's good just to have conversation, so everyone knows where everyone's coming from. Yeah. And it's but sometimes it's tough to create that environment. Yeah. Right? Because people have emotions, people have feelings, and then it erupts. So I think it's important just to go in it with a level mind. You pray about it, you go in and you speak about it, and then you see what comes out of it.
Yeah. And I mean, we're talking about also inside the church, right?
I was just gonna say
this is relatable to whether it's a small church or a large church, just in your everyday, your office hours, all of these things. The variety of folks that work there in an office. I mean, it goes the same no matter where you're at.
That's right.
And I think it's there's two important things I think we have to realize from this. One, if we're one, if we're not that perpetrator type of person, right? We're not the perpetrator. We're out there and we're generally looking to live our lives to the best that we can as men, right? But if we see this injustice happening, one, that we would be vocal, right? We would be vocal. We would stand up and we could pull somebody aside.
What's that look like?
Oh.
What's that look like?
What when we pull something aside? What?
Yeah, what's that look like?
Well, sometimes it could look like my shirt coming off and grab his. No, I'm just playing.
As a distraction.
Right.
Let me distract you. Real quick.
Diversionary tactic.
Look at me.
No.
But honestly, if you're saying as a man of faith, what does that conversation look like? How do you? Okay, so if you're not the perpetrator, maybe you give some advice to somebody that is witnessing it, right? Because you just said earlier, what's taking so long for us to now just come to it? And I think sometimes, like, how do I approach that? Do I?
Well, let's be real. I mean, we're grown men here, right?
Yeah.
And let's just say this. I'm sure this is not a conversation I'm having with you, right?
Right.
But I pull you aside and say, look, bro, right? This is not. That's not one. That's not a way that you should be acting. Let's be real. Let's be. If you go say you're a man, you stand in front of me, another man, and I know that's wrong. I mean, we have to have those honest conversations, and it doesn't have to be confrontational where we're taking it outside and we're fist fighting here. It can go there if it needs to, right? But it shouldn't. It shouldn't have to go there. But
exactly.
Once again, it's just about being vocal, bringing it up front, bringing it to light, and if it needs to be brought to leadership, especially if, once again, if leadership is not the perpetrator, it needs to be brought to leadership attention. So there could be strategic ways for that to be handled. So not only that, though, it's us, for us being on the lookout and making sure that we're being vocal. But I think lastly is that we're also constantly checking ourselves.
Yeah.
Like every single day. Like what am I doing? What am I doing every single day?
Yeah.
Right. We're all married here. We all have children. Right. And it's not that when we're out in public. And we see a beautiful woman or girl, right? And we look and we make eye contact. Are we checking ourselves when we do that? Yeah. Is it wrong to look at someone who is beautiful? No, but it's where we go after that, right? And am I dwelling on that? Do I just keep my eyes fixated on that, or do I bounce my eyes, right? Knowing that I'm married, I got a beautiful wife at home, right? And we have to put those systems in place to safeguard us as men and really check it. And who are we surrounding ourselves? What are we pouring into ourselves? Because this day and age, I mean. We're talking about evils everywhere. It's lurking on every corner. It's going to try to tackle us and take us down at every moment. So as men of faith, we really have to be on it.
Yeah, I think that's good. Just to kind of close that segment out is just, again, we talk about it all the time on the Barbershop. If there's any type of mentorship or you just need to add +1 to your crowd, someone with a different perspective or a different angle to look at things, someone you can go to and kind of confide in. He's always available. No, I'm kidding. No, I think
counseling hours.
Right. No, I think it's important. If feel free to reach out. Hit us up on Facebook. Hit us up on Twitter. Hit us up on Instagram. Yeah. Hit us up on send us an email.
Yeah, you got someone harassing you. You need some extremely muscular men to go out and handle business.
Call that guy.
Call me right here.
Sun's out, guns out.
Knock someone out. Come on now.
But I think it's important. If you're in the process of checking yourself, you should have someone you can talk to as well to kind of help you set straight. You know what I mean? So that random dude at the church doesn't have to pull you aside like, oh, hey, what's up, brother? And they give you the talk, and you're like, oh, you're just thrown off. It's good to be able to check yourself before you wreck yourself.
And I'll just say this, man. To me, out of the whole thing, what I've really been checking myself on, I'm feeling what you're saying is given the women I encounter. The place of power, they determine what the boundaries are, right? Because I think if our eyes open and we're paying attention, you can tell when you're in somebody's personal space, when your conversation is making them uncomfortable. I think if I don't even care about that, if I'm me, I'm doing me, and I'm saying what I feel like saying, and if you don't like it, too bad on you. Then I think that's not the position that the man should be taking. Right. And so I think we read the cues and we let the women who we're supposed to be looking at like our mothers and our daughters and our sisters, just like you said, then give them enough respect to let them set the boundaries. And I think I think everything will be cool from there.
Right. And so from everybody, here at the Barbershop, we want to say for all the victims out there and those of you who are still out there that you haven't come out yet, our hearts are with you. These are not normal things that should happen on a daily basis or should have happened at all in your life.
It's not your fault.
And it's not your fault. And we're here. We support you in a time of healing and things like that. And so have that. We want you to have that courage to stand up and say what you need to say. And the guys here at the Barbershop got your back. We got your back. Yep.
What Pac say? Keep your head up.
Keep your head up. All right, y'all. This is Barbershop BA. We'll see you next time. Peace.